do all you do, she said, because you are mobile. She said, once you stop, then you're going to just go. That's right. I get, hey, that's, hey, hey, Felix, there's something to that. You know, Mike, are you all geared up back there? I'm going to ask you to open us up. I'm like them preachers in the South. I wish I had a praying church. I never did know what that meant, but I hear them say it all the time. The other one today, Mike, they used to say it, I never did figure it. They said, well, y'all don't hear me. I said, yes, I do. I wish I had a praying church. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that now. You know, I'm good preaching. You can't beat. The guy, yeah, the man. Hey, brother, he got his head now and then. The man look up and said, "I wish I had a praying church." I said, "Well, they are praying, I think." And then Brother Winan, he gets himself all over the world. He gets himself all over the world about money. And I said, man, oh man, why? So when Winan, see, the woman gave him 1,000. And wait, Rodney, he gave the 1,000 and 250 toward the other 1,000. And he told the woman that he would have won. And I said, these ministers got to remember your own YouTube and Facebook when you're doing this stuff. And huh? So here's the point. That's the point. You got it. What happens then, they take wine and stuff and make a joke out of it. So then the guy, when they do the clip, they come right behind his clip with the one where the singer, the guy, the minister said, y'all lock the door. They put them all together, and it's all geared toward the minister. So they had those two together. Then they had one where the minister had bought a new Bentley, and he said he bought it for the church. And one of the members of the church said, well, Pastor, are we going to be able to drive it? He said, no, the Lord don't want you to drive it. They put all them together. Okay, Mike, let's have prayer. Go ahead. Yes, sir. Lord, yes. Amen. Thank you. And I did mention that Sister Williford, as you know, it was her time to teach. She did notify us that she was not well, and she had missed last Sunday also, but we'll carry on. But I will say this, anyone who would like to be one of the volunteers to lead the teaching on the first Sunday, I'm going to put together a new schedule for that, so just give me your name at your convenience so we can redo that. We're talking about Jeremiah. Jeremiah's, what's the subject? Jeremiah's rescue. Jeremiah's rescue. If you look at Jeremiah, we studied him quite a bit. What are some of the traits that you see in Jeremiah? What are some of the 2 or 3 great traits about him do you see as we have studied him, about him? Anyone? Loyal. Okay, that's one. That's good. Anyone else? Number 1. Wow, yeah. That's right. Consistent, a risk taker. What else? He told the truth, and he never compromised. He let you know that his life really didn't make any difference. He did say along the way, here I am, y'all gonna do what you want with me. Didn't he say that? So you look at it, that commitment is very important. And one of you did mention consistent. He is totally consistent. He says the same message, but when he was called, go back in your mind, what did the Lord tell him about what he's supposed to say? I will put the what? Words in your mouth. Am I right? That's all a part of this personality that we're talking about with Jeremiah. It's just fantastic. I was looking at Brother Hurd's posting, and you look at him, he's a very unique, and thank Brother Hurd for that, but I read that during the week, but very consistent, and he will not leave course. And the other thing, all the way down to Egypt, he stayed consistent. And after they had gone there. So I wanted to get that, because that's the whole thing about leadership that we often lose. It's not so much that, you don't appreciate strong leadership as much as you want them to be consistent from one thing to the next in terms of their belief, in terms of what they're teaching. You can't change what you believe just because the audience is different. And that's what you get into. Now, if you're a comedian, that's the right thing to do. If you're Steve Harvey or somebody and you're going to this Las Vegas club, and depending upon what time of night it is, the jokes get dirtier as they get darker. Well, you got to adjust your game. Well, Jeremiah didn't adjust his game. He stayed consistent. But I wanted to cover that. Anyone else on this personality? Because so many times we always talk about who the leaders are and who do we emulate. All you got to do is go to your Bible. And there are 2 or 3. You take a person like Paul, he is a model for a person who has been converted and staying the course. Once he had the calling, he was ruthless on the faith as he was to the Jewish nation. And that's the kind of thing we all look for in people that are out in front of us. The key text, then the king commanded. Yes. Yeah.
That's why I like to categorize him as a risk taker, because he knew what he was up against.
Yeah, good. That's a great point. Yeah, Absolutely.
But he stayed the course and he died. So if you take an umbrella and you put up under it, it's persistent, you have compassion, you have these other qualities. It's because he was a risk taker. And you can have people who have passion about being a leader, but they're not willing to stand up and go against those people who are against them. But he
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that is that's exactly the problem that we have today, in my view. When we came along, and I'm a lot older than all of you guys, but when I came along in the '60s, we had leaders that were voices who were willing to sacrifice and to take the shots. So you had the John Lewises and Foreman and Martin Luther King and the Malcolm X's. You had those people who were leaders. And every time I pick up the New York Times and you see all of this stuff, the Thursday, I said, where are our leaders? Where are the voices and so forth, all of the takeaways and the so forth and so on? Somebody ought to be mad about this. That's the old school, though, I guess. It's nowadays we kind of have to be strategic and all that, I guess. But nobody seems to be angry about all of the things that maybe they're just internalizing it and making themselves sick. But in those days, we had somebody out in front that was telling the government before John Kennedy that y'all wrong. And we're willing to go to jail, willing to die. Brother Felix.
And I could be wrong. I'm thinking that they are mad and upset, but they're afraid to say something.
Good point. Great point.
What is Hakeem Jeffries doing? Hakeem Jeffries is speaking out.
Yeah, that's true.
Sharp is still speaking out. We do have people still speaking out. Yeah, but they're not afraid of Hakeem Jeffries, and they're afraid of him.
No. Okay, I'm sorry I opened that up. Hey, Rodney, we'll come back. But that's a great point. Okay, let's look at our key text. Then the king commanded, what is the, yes. What did it say? Come on. See, that's one of our class members. He's saying it just right. They ain't making no noise. Come on now. Okay, I got you. Okay, well, no, you got to be, we got the one minister, what's the guy's name? He's disabled, the heavyset, Barber. We got Barber, and we got Jeffries. But where's the head of the NACP and the Urban League and all of them cats? Where are all those cats? Yeah, that.
I said the same thing as you said. Where they at?
Yeah, what if all these cats out here? I got three life memberships in the NACP, and I ain't heard them say nothing about nothing. So all of that stuff. Okay.
White folks are outnumbering them and outnumbering us.
Okay.
We are outnumbered, just like
Yeah.
you were coming up. We had the difference of opinions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, we had difference of opinion. They were speaking out. Medgar Evers got killed, all right, by the Klan. We're at that stage now, the 60s, right now.
Yeah, but here, let me give you one more, and we'll move on. Rodney, let me give you one example. When I was in the movement at SNCC, those three guys that were murdered in Mississippi, the brother and the two Jewish guys, that happened. The announcement, it was on the news. Guess what we did the next day? We demonstrated the next day. See, that's what I'm talking about, that kind of passion, you just don't, and this whole thing of these cats were all willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. So we were very much like, in that sense, the apostles and some of the others. So we have had that historically, the Frederick Douglasses and the W.E.B. Du Boises of this world back then. We just can't give them enough credit for the voices that they brought to all of these things. Okay, the key text, then the king commanded Ebed-Melech, the Ethiopian, saying, take from hence 30 men with thee, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon. He's in a dungeon. Everybody understand that? The lesson that says rescue from the dungeon. What kind of dungeon was he in? The cistern catches rainwater, and the drain water off the ground that's from the earth and going down. Your house becomes a cistern if that pump in that basement don't work. Because it will fill up with water, and that's happened to me twice. So I know. But the cistern is just as Rodney described it. The wealthy people had them in their homes. Isn't that something? So you got water that's draining in, so you got your own source of water. This one was dry, and when something dries, what's left? Or starts to dry, what's left? Mud. The mud's going to be important to what we talk about. Summarize the historical context of Jeremiah 38. We've done some of that. Explain the points of view and motives of the various parties involved. How strong was this king? No, the king that Jeremiah was dealing with.
He said to get him out of there.
All right, now I want y'all to look at the big picture of the king's behavior.
And he wanted to know what Jeremiah knew.
Right. So he was that way, but he was listening to two different voices. What were they?
He was listening to Jeremiah's voice and the people's voice.
And the people's voice, his own priests were telling him what?
Don't listen to Jeremiah.
Why?
Because he's talking about us going into Babylon. He's not going to Babylon. Don't listen to him.
That's it. He is kind of crazy. This Jeremiah is. He's telling, I'm your king. And he said, this dude is weird. He's talking all this crap. We good. The Lord's going to bless us. Isn't that what, am I right? Isn't that what they told us? Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to say he was wishy-washy. I'm going to say he was wishy-washy, so that'll satisfy everybody. Because he was both ways. He was strong when the heat came from the right person. And that's where this brother comes into the picture in the lesson. So let's take a look at unjustly imprisoned. Somebody tell me in summary who are they talking about? This is one of these dudes that stood up that I'm always talking about. Okay, tell me about Nelson Mandela. Who was he? For the good of our young people, who was he?
He was a lawyer, and he fought against the
Apartheid. Yeah. Okay. And so he was jailed in 1962. I'm old enough to remember that. And they sentenced him to how much? So at the end of the 5 years, he got out and went home to win. Okay, so at the end of 5 years, what did happen? Come on. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm getting ready to be paroled, and they gave me life. Isn't that what happened, y'all? That is the story. And so they gave him life imprisonment. So for 18 years, what kind of a prison was this he was in? Was this a nice, clean place like the downtown jail in Saginaw? It was a prison. You said it well, Felix, but it was also what kind of a colony? A leper's colony. That's where he was, y'all. All of these years they had put him in this kind of place. So he was eventually released and he became the first black South African president. And the level of racism, I'll say this, in South Africa exceeded anything that we could dream of. And here's what I'm saying, in the sense that, yeah, we got black and white, but what did they have in South Africa along with the black and white? They had colors and different skin tones and segregation. The colored people were like Winnie. They were brown folk. So the segregation was that bad in that country, and all of the natural resources that they exploited, and the greatest source of diamonds in the world is where? South Africa. South Africa. And so that's it. So they did that, they mined that and all of those kind of things. So that's what so he was unjustly, what's that? Yeah. I'm not going to respond. I have been trained in political correctness. I'm going to move on. Hey, Felix. That's right. Yeah, well, that's it. Here's the other thing. To everyone's disappointment. The artificial diamond is more valuable than the earth diamond. That's today's technology. That shows you where they've come from. They can make a diamond that is superior to the one. Yeah. But there is a diamond. We saw those in New York, and they got these diamonds that are artificial, and they're more expensive than the ones that come out of the ground. But you know, you can do a lot of things with man-made tools to get to that. Now let's talk about the lesson context. Zedekiah was the first king of Judah, the last king of Judah. His time is 586. Now, all of this gets complicated because as we go toward the end, we have this whole Babylonian thing that gets in the way. So this Zedekiah was kind of an appointed king. And I don't know why they call him a king, because he's really not a king over anything. The Babylonians basically controlled it, so they put their own people, appoint the people that they control into that. But the whole thing that he has here by now, what is the state of the country? The state of the country is such that it is under siege already. What does that mean? So the Babylonians did all of this, and they were patient. They started out in 587, but it's another 10 years for all this is over with. They were patient. They waited you out. They starved you out and so forth. So that's the kind of environment that we have here. And Jeremiah had they said here, a complicated relationship with them. And but this man would come and ask Jeremiah to pray for him. Now, isn't that something? Yeah, this king is asking Jeremiah, well, what does the Lord say? We need a word from the Lord. He would keep going back to those things. And what did Jeremiah advise the king? This is the key. Regarding the Babylonians, what did he advise them?
To go ahead, don't put up no fight. Just run in and go easy. It's gonna be all right on the other side.
All right. So Jeremiah is saying, do what? Obey who? Obey the Lord. The Lord said, y'all go with him. He told Jeremiah, he told Jeremiah the words that I put in your mouth. You tell him, the Lord said, surrender. And they thought, we ain't going to surrender. Jeremiah is crazy. Everybody got that?
Surrender and no one will be killed.
Huh?
Surrender and no one will be
Some come on with it. He said, surrender and no one would what? Be killed. That's a pretty good deal, isn't it? They said, no, the Lord going to take care of us, and they up here worshiping idol God. Isn't that something to think about? So that is a bit of the context that we have with the lesson, and you guys have clarified some of the things. But this brother was a Cushite. What is a Cushite? Who is Cush? Oh, he's Hamitic, like us. Son of Ham, that's the black folk. Okay, I got it. He is a Cushite. They call all of them what? Ethiopians. The historians call them Ethiopians, but they are calling anything brown or black Ethiopian. These people that we're talking about, these Cushites, were black Africans. Everybody got that? Yeah. And they had, hundreds enslaved and conquered and so forth, but they were indeed that. So when we say the land of Cush, that's down under, that's below Egypt. Almost down there where them 7-foot brothers are. Those are the people you're talking about when you look at the history. That makes sense? Yeah. So this Cushite is a whole different kind of person that we're dealing with. He must have what? Some power, right? Because the king will listen to him. The king will listen to him. And as we go through the lesson, we see that he has that final voice that makes the difference. Now let's get into some of the verses, and we can move through it and discuss those. So someone read 7a and b, and all the way through. Let's see. Read 7a, 7b, verse 8, and verse 9. And verse 10. Read those verses out loud, please. Someone with a big voice. Yes.
Now when Abimelech, whatever I said, the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs which was in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the dungeon.
Yes.
The king then sitting in the gate of Benjamin. Abimelech went forth out of the king's house and spake to the king, saying, My lord the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon. And he is like to die for hunger in the place where he is, for there is no more bread in the city. Then the king commanded Abimelech the Ethiopian, saying, Take from hence 30 men with thee, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon before he died.
All right. That's the story. We've covered some of that. So it says, now when, all right, let's say this together. Ebed Melech. Ebed Melech. Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. It's Ebed Melech. Y'all got it? Okay. The Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs. What is a eunuch?
He was castrated.
Castrated. I won't get into that. Which was in the king's house. Why did they have eunuchs in the king's house? Y'all heard what Felix said?
That is exactly right.
So they were eunuchs because they didn't want them. Well, Solomon got 700. Why would he worry about somebody messing with one of them? Okay, so we got eunuchs there, and they are over. They work the harem and all of that, and they are trusted because they can't bother the ladies. They can't bother the ladies. Okay. So he's in there. So he must be a trusted person, right? That's the key word for it. He is a trusted person, and it says over here the word Ebed Melech means a servant of the king. Thus this may be the man's job description, that of a person. And the other thing, we talk about the guardians of the harem, but in many cases these eunuchs were experts in the social sciences of the environment. They could advise the king on various matters, and that you see that all through the Bible. And so he's one of the eunuchs, so he is technically a royal official. And the king was sitting at the gate of Benjamin. What is it about these gates in the Bible, in the Old Testament? What is it about those gates? Why are folks sitting at the gate? Anyone? Yes.
They sit there, the old elderly people usually have benches there.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, in Mississippi, we had Main Street in town, and it's a store there called Stubbs.
Yes.
And Stubbs Corner on a Saturday, all the people would gather there and they would discuss what was going on in the communities, because those people didn't have home at that time.
So that was kind of where
They discussed it.
I got you.
Whatever was going on, they passed it on that way.
So they conducted business there on Saturday, or like we did in the South, when the folk that came to town from the country, y'all don't know about that. They would come. Barbara knows what I'm talking about, but they'd come to town from the country on Saturday, and I'm old enough to remember when some of them came to town in a mule and a wagon. That's a true story. And they would come and buy the groceries, and there were folk advising them. There was some Calhoun type lawyers there and everything, where they could come in and talk to folks. So that's the kind. But they were there and they did business there. So these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon. We all clarified the dungeon. This is a cistern, and he is like to die for, we talked about that, didn't we? Yeah. Likely to die for hunger in the place where he is, for there is no what? All right, we talked about the siege, didn't we? Nothing in, nothing out. There's no bread here. So there's nothing to feed him. So we got that going on. And he's in a heck of a situation. Now, if you're in the dungeon or in the cistern, and the water is just about gone, what's around your ankles? Mud. So poor Jeremiah can't take no nap, huh? Unless he can sleep standing up. Because he'd have to lay in the mud. So he's standing there. And that's the sure way to death. He's getting no water, he's getting no food. They got him standing there in the mud. So they're killing him softly. Who sang that song? Roberta Flack. They're killing him softly. Y'all got it? So he's in that situation. Now, who else that we can think of in the Bible was in a hole like that? Who? What was Joseph's situation? Did he just fall in a trap, or who put him there? Oh, his brothers put him there. Wow. So they also had the motive to kill him, didn't they? And one of the brothers said, no, let's not kill him. Which one of the brothers was that? Hey, this is a Bible bowl. That's Reuben. And Reuben said, no, let's not do that. And then so they go, well, we'll leave him there. And the other brother who intervened in it was who? Judah. That's what saved his life. The brother with the coats of many colors. So this scene has been seen before. So we got all the possibilities of malnutrition and dehydration and all of that stuff. And so what did the king? The king back did have some kind of a heart, didn't he? Because what did he say in verse 10? He commanded him, take from hence how many? 30 men with you, and take up Jeremiah the prophet where? Take him out of the abundance before what? Okay. The king kind of got the picture, didn't he? He said, well, y'all, he's still living, but hey, he's going to die because he got no food, he's got no water. Everybody, we're all on the same page. Jeremiah didn't tell nobody nothing. He didn't say, go get me a bail bondsman. He didn't say, go do this or that, did he? What? The Lord told him, I'm going to put the words in your mouth. I'm going to tell you what to say, when to say it, and you stay the course. And what is he doing? He is as obedient as you could possibly, am I making sense? As obedient as it could possibly be. And so they look at the next verses and look at, he took him and king under the treasury. I like that the king is sitting on the money. The treasury is under his house. That's a good place to have it, isn't it? He said, and took the men with him and took thence old cast clouts and old rotten rags and so forth, and let them down by cord into the dungeon. Isn't that something? What is that telling us? Albert, you had?
Yeah, they were looking out for his protection. When I read that, I thought about the illustration we had yesterday with the peanut butter and jelly. They gave us specific instructions on what to do. Put those rags down there. They were to protect the skin.
That's right. In other words, you put these rags, it's kind of putting soft cotton around, wrap that around yourself, and then we can pull you up. But they didn't do like they do on Marshall Dillon, just throw the rope down there and get him. Why didn't they do that? Because it would damage his skin, the skin, and all of that stuff. So you put the rags on him, that gives him some soft texture up against the body. And so Jeremiah just sits there and let them rescue him. And they put all the old rags on him and they pulled him out. But the timing in this is what is so critical to me. Because, you know, have we ever heard that expression, somebody never said a mumbling word? Y'all ever heard that when they're talking about, Jeremiah had this, it never said that he was complaining or begging anybody to do anything, did it? It didn't say anything about that. All that it said is that they rescued him, and Jeremiah acted like he knew what? He acted like he knew they were going to rescue him, right? That's the faith that we're talking about. So we've got him, they're taking him up from there. So they drew him up and took him out of the dungeon, and he remained where? That same court, Rodney, that we talked about out front, where they come in and make the deal. So that's kind of like, what do they call that when you're in jail? That's the halfway house, right? Yeah, that's kind of like a halfway house. He's out here. He's still arrested now, but he's got some freedom. He's got some liberties. Okay, so he took him out and he remained in the court. He was able to talk to people and so forth as we look through that. Huh? Yeah, that's right.
You got more freedom in a federal lockup where they put people in it. Okay,
now it's hey Rodney, it's every bit of that. But when you look at this situation with Jeremiah, he's accused of being a traitor. What do you do with traitors? That's right, they are normally executed. I never will forget, I'm old enough to remember the Cuban crisis. Fidel Castro arrested them, and they actually had a trial. And the trial lasted about 60 seconds. And he marched all of those enemies of his through court. They came in, they asked him what their plea. They said not guilty, and Castro said guilty. And he did not feed them and put them back in jail. What did they do? They took them out and executed them behind the Hall of Justice. Those are the kinds of things that have gone on in this culture and all of the other cultures in terms of how you deal with it. My point is simply that the Lord was with Jeremiah all the way. Brother Felix?
You know, it's remarkable when you read these stories of these different prophets, because back in the Bible time,
Yeah.
the people didn't want the prophets to come into the city and say nothing.
That's right.
Because the prophets were giving what God said.
Yeah.
Today we invite all these prophets from wherever.
Did y'all hear what Felix said? Felix said they invite these prophets from everywhere. Go ahead, Felix, finish your point.
But then, a lot of times, are they really saying what God said, or is it because it's prosperity gospel, we get it for the record.
Prosperity gospel. Okay, go ahead.
And then you say we have, and then like you were saying before, last time now, they got Marvin Winans and Marvin Sapp and all the people, they put them all up on social media now, mocking the church.
They're mocking the church, and let's face it, they're taking what we do and making what Dante called the divine comedy out of it. They take what we do. So Marvin Winans, the woman brings 1,000. I'd sure like to see somebody walk.
I didn't get that part of the story. Is there a mortgage they're trying to do?
No. Here's what. So that's a good question. Here's what they're doing, Rodney. They are preparing to build a major mega church. They're trying to raise. That's where it is, right there. 7, and y'all, you know where they're talking. It's 10 years.
And they're trying to finish the church.
But here's the point, Rodney. Okay, guys, the point is the exploitation of the situation. And see, if I'm an enemy of the church and that happens, I'm going to make something out of it. So the woman had $1,000, my Lord, what you want? And she had another, 200? Had another 250, and he said, that ain't what I told you I wanted. And social media ran with it. The poor woman was hurt, disappointed, and so forth. It sounded like they had made pledges for 2,000, everybody, and she was coming up a little short. But as a as a steward of 56 years, I've been in a lot of fundraising efforts. And if we say that the goal is 1,000 and you walked up here with 200, I'd take it. And say, I'm going to pray over this and that the seed will grow. But you see, he rejected this woman and told her, no, that ain't what I wanted. Well, the other guy, Sap was it, he told him to do what? Lock the doors. I'm going to lock you Negroes up in here until I get my money. Taken out of context. Wait a minute, say it, Phyllis, nobody walks. What does?
Nobody walks. I mean, nobody, you don't want anybody coming in and out the doors when the offering is being ready because you don't know who people are. So in Church of God Christ, they lock the doors when they're raising the offering.
Here's wait. Let's make a couple of points. The whole thing on the prosperity ministry, which is different from what we're talking about, is pure exploitation, because what they're saying, what Creflo Dollar and these folks are saying, now he's changing, he says he's changing, is that, you know, you bring the money here, start, and you plant the seed, you will be blessed. We all believe that we'll be blessed, but it might not be with money. You might be blessed with the opportunity to go serve somewhere in Africa. You might be blessed to stand in the line and help somebody. You might be blessed to take some homeless person into your home over the holidays. That's a blessing. It doesn't have to be about Bentleys and all this stuff. What is going on with all of this, though, is that the enemies of the church are taking this stuff and saying, see, I told y'all, look at what they're doing. And then, so I saw a clip on TV here a couple of weeks ago where they had this one little guy, I can't think of his name, Joe would know him, a little short white minister, he had white hair and all this. Yeah, and he had a thing out there with 12 cars in it, garage. And he had a swimming pool on one end and another one on the other end. Now that's the parsonage, you know. And so when you look at all of that, what the social media folk and the people who are basically against our faith, they take that stuff that we do and they make something out of it. They make something out of it. So, you know, I'll take somebody who I know has done well because of all the books she's written and all, like a Joyce Myers, and I listened to it. She's done well. She's made a lot of money, but boy, when she talks, she makes a whole lot of sense. You know, and you got to listen to the things to really understand that. So I say in her case, she's preaching the word and she's teaching it straight from the scripture. When they got the word of God in front of them, you know, it's kind of easy to follow. That's the thing that I wanted to emphasize. So don't be careful as you watch this stuff. Because remember that there are folk who will exploit what we do, you know, and say it's just a hustle. Well, they look at these pastors' anniversaries and all of this stuff and all of the anniversaries, pre-anniversaries, anniversary for the wife and spouse and the anniversary for this. They look at all that as hustles in the church. And we hurt ourselves because it seems to be all about money when it should be. And I'm not accusing anyone because I have no idea what their heart is and all that stuff. But we have to be careful of the message that we transmit. If I come by your church like yesterday, and I see kids walking out of your gymnasium with new coats on and shoes and underwear, that's the message I want to transmit. Y'all hear me? And the church has to be careful that it stays on that message. When you walk out of here on a Sunday morning and you meet somebody and you say, oh man, oh Brother Felix, whoever they preached. And you say, the man said, well, where did he preach from? You say, I don't know, but he preached. that is important. We know what we're here for. We talk about Jeremiah being sincere. We have to do the same thing, and we have to represent what the Lord wants. We can't do what everybody else does. We have to do it day in, day out, like Jeremiah. Day in and day out. Brother Felix?
Another thing that they're doing, another thing that they're doing on social media.
Yeah.
They're taking these clips now of people dancing in the Holy Ghost. And they're taking those clips and putting them up on social media. And we were at Bishop Campbell's church last weekend, and the bishop came in the office and he put that up. He said, "What is this? That they putting up people shouting in the Holy Ghost on social media? Why are they doing that? We got
Yeah.
to be careful what we putting up on social media."
But see, on the
Using it
Brother Felix, since I've been watching it, the best dancing in the world is the dancing that they tape in these coaches churches. And that's all over the internet. I ain't seen such dances as James Brown. They got this all over the country and they got
Are they mocking their glory because they want to give God praise? If they dancing and giving God praise, what's wrong with that?
I'm not talking about that being wrong. You
I ain't
missed my
saying that.
point. No, you're wrong.
I ain't saying that.
They wrong.
I ain't saying you wrong.
The people
I'm
are
saying that.
hear me. The people that are gathering the stuff and using it are wrong. That's what I'm saying. Because I didn't come in with the camera and Brother Felix took off and ran down the aisle the other day. I could take that and look how they mounted over there. They didn't say nothing about the Holy Spirit being involved. Does that make sense? Go ahead.
First Corinthians 6:19 says what? No, you're not to be body and temple of the Holy Spirit, and you're not your own, and glorify God, which
Yes.
is reasonable service.
Yes.
And they glorifying God, better watch how you judging them out. The world will judge us, of course. We got wood in sheep's clothing in the church.
That's right.
And the biggest thing I say about the church is that when you are a successful minister and you gather all these people and have these mega churches, it's a curse almost because there's too much money coming in. And are you going to stay humble with this money? I saw the card to a nun. She said that. Same thing with Catholic church. You got wood in sheep's clothing. When you're prosperous at the church, you want to drive a Bentley, or you want to drive a Chevy or whatever, and they'll tell you, well, Jesus came in on a donkey. He came in on a donkey.
that here's a rock. Go ahead, we so can wrap up. Yes.
They're going to always, as you said, they're going to always judge the church. And then when we got these wood in sheep's clothing, begging for money, not begging, but asking for money for their own purpose. So, what,
But see, it comes down to me, just experience and whatever. Everything comes down to one thing: my salvation and my personal, not you, my personal relationship with God. And so my prayer is that, Lord, show me when a hustle is coming. Does that make sense? Show me when a hustle is coming. Lord, let me discernment. Good word, Felix. That's right. See, and I'm not. What is that? Somebody you'll fall for anything and all that. Let me tell you something. You have to be prayed up with that, because they say, well, the mega church. If I talk about mega anything, the size doesn't matter on that stuff, because if I recall, Jesus fed how many men?
5,000.
He fed 5,000 what? Men and women and children. And if you say everybody had 2 kids and a wife, he fed over 10,000 folk. That's a mega church. So I can't judge that. But it's me and the Lord, see. And this, what it is, no, you pray over it. That's why I say when you give an offering, or you give and you do these things, you pray over what you are doing. Am I making sense? You pray over that. When I say, well, the men's day thing is 200 and what is it, 225, you pray over that before you give it. You know, pray that it is properly used and so forth. Because people will hustle anything. Just remember that. And we'll talk about, well, the bishop this and they want this. I said, but that's just the way it is. But you have to decide on your own salvation, just like Jeremiah did in terms of what he was teaching the people. But that's an excellent discussion. And let's take a look at, I'll wrap up with Jeremiah with this. This Ethiopian eunuch appealed to the king. And the king did what? He listened. They let Jeremiah come out of that dungeon, okay? He comes out, and Jeremiah is under house arrest, I'd call it. But he's still sitting where he can talk to the people, and he can talk like Jeremiah. And we are convinced that Jeremiah is going to tell what? The truth. Because where is his word coming from? His word is coming directly from God, you know. So you look at all of that kind of stuff and what's going on with this. When he got out there, Jeremiah got the job done. But here's what I want you to remember, because it's not all covered in here. This was not the end. This was not the end. The king, and let me summarize as we wrap up. This king, for instance, eventually gets run out of town, and they did what to him? They killed him. I'm warming you up. They did that, and they blinded him. But what did they do before they blinded him? This is the Babylonians. They said, well, y'all ain't listening. They took every member of his family. Before they blinded him, what did they do? They murdered every soul that was in his family. That's in the word. If they had been obedient to God, this is that catchphrase. If they had been obedient, they would have been what? The Lord said he'd spare every one of them, even this late in the game. If you do what I say, if you carry out my will, everybody will be spared, and they still didn't do it. So they lost everything. They lost everything. And the Babylonians then finished the job. They burned the city down to the ground. And the only people they left there were the very poor and so forth. Does that make sense? So Zedekiah was kind of a coward in some ways, but he stepped up and he helped to free, he stepped up and helped us to free Jeremiah. And this brother, and his name is Ebed what? Ebed. This brother is the chief negotiator for getting him out. And he risked disapproval and ostracism and all of that kind of stuff. But it also shows me that when they talk about black folk and how the religion exploits, this kind of stuff shows that we were involved early in the game. And I'm going to bring my Ethiopian Bible next time. I got a copy of it. It's a great big Bible, about that big. A lot of people have never seen it, but I want you to see it. I'm not saying I'm going to use it. Ethiopian Bible. Any questions? Jeremiah was a man of courage, and he did what the Lord said. Any questions?
The servant of the king was a very smooth negotiator, because he didn't name the people who put Jeremiah in the cistern.
Yeah.
He was careful not to accuse them.
Yes. That's right.
He wasn't.
But the brother Rodney, he was one of them cats that's good on his feet. He didn't say, I'm going to the pastor, and Joe told me. I ain't gonna tell the pastor that Joe told me. I'm going to say, Pastor, they are complaining about X. And the pastor gets his ear leaned over toward me. I ain't gonna tell them who said it. That makes sense. Good point. Anyone else? Thanks, everybody. We had a great time. Keep reading. Brother Hurd, I love your post. You become a Jeremiah expert. I read your post. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. See ya.